And we are live. I have got to double check and make sure that I am on the right set of headphones just in case. So anyway, we'll double check this. Um, we are live on April Fool's Day. It is April 1st, and I just posted something that I shared a while back, and it is the top 10 things not to do if you want to be successful. And I said successful in sales, but actually I think a lot of this stuff applies directly, whether we're talking about sales or we're talking about business or we're just talking about life in general. So we're going to work through the top 10 list and take it from there. I will do my best to watch comments. And for those of you who have my cell phone, if you see me not responding to comments, just send me a text message because I'm moving all over the place on this again on this April Fool's Day. Number one, pitch without context. Pitch without context. It is amazing the number of times that this happens, and I can tell you, I've done this myself. I've gotten so excited about a discussion that I'm having with someone who I think has the problem that I can solve for, and I just start pitching rather than asking questions. And if you saw the a reel that I put on Instagram, which still is pretty popular, it's still getting some views, and popular for me is probably different than popular for you. But if you've not watched it, check out the Instagram page, and you'll see me with Miley in the background talking about stop pitching, start asking questions. Stop pitching, start asking questions. When you engage with someone in an environment where you first met them, ask a couple of questions first. Even if they say, "So tell me a little bit about what you do," ask some questions. So stop pitching without context. Don't pitch without context. And the best way to gather context is to ask a couple of simple questions that reveal an understanding about the problem that exists for the person on the other side. The problem that exists from the to the person on the other side. Now, they may know that they have a problem. They may not know that they have a problem. A lot of that kind of depends, but we can start with asking some questions. Then we can deliver our pitch in context. Number two, what happens when you assume things? Well, as most of you know, you make an ass out of you and me. That's the beauty of assuming. So, one way to avoid getting into a situation where we're assuming things is to, again, and you'll see this theme as we go through this, ask questions, don't guess. The I think the best way to describe this, and this again applies both in business, life, and sales. So it's not just a sales thing. Think about when you might have played football as a kid, if you played football, or if you have kids who are playing football. What happens if they assume that they know where the person with the ball is going to go and they jump and they try to do one of those highlight reel ESPN type moves? Sometimes they make a hit, sometimes they catch air, they catch wind, and they end up being on the opposite side of the highlight roll. Don't assume. Use your tactics, use your approach to slow down and gather a little bit of information so that you can engage with the customer in a way that makes sense to them. So don't assume, ask questions. It's important to validate understanding when you've got a piece of information. The cool thing about validating understanding when you have a piece of information is that you can then deliver information in context, which goes back to the whole pitch without context. So 10 things you should not do if you want to be successful at sales, business, and life. Number one, pitch without context. Number two, make assumptions. Number three, overpower the conversation. You have two ears and one mouth for a reason. Two ears and one mouth for a reason. And you know what's amazing is a lot of people talk about the two ears and one mouth when thinking about communication. What they forget to bring up is that you also have a couple of eyes. You have a couple of eyes. You actually have a sense of smell. Like there are a number of different ways that you can consume information so that you don't overpower the discussion. and so that you don't assume, and so that you don't pitch without context, so you can start to see how these build together. But take that time, listen more, listen more with intent. And then when you have a point to share, share it and then ask for feedback. Don't overpower the conversation. Number 4, attempt to solve for everything. How many times do you get yourself into a situation where you're like, you know what, if I squint, yeah, I can kind of see a scenario where that might work. Well, a lot of times that happens when you have a lack of pipeline, when you start to make your problem the customer's problem. Don't attempt to solve for everything. Be really deliberate about the things you solve for. I know the things I solve for. I do not solve for demand gen. I don't. I can help people who are in demand gen roles get a better understanding of the customer based on my understanding of the customer and the conversations I have with customers, but I don't solve for demand gen. There are a lot of people who are significantly better at solving for demand gen than me. What I do solve for is revenue generation in the context of acquiring customers once we're actually having conversations in identifying ways to grow business. Don't attempt to solve for everything. All you'll do is confuse people. Next one, don't sell alone. Don't sell alone. You know, there's the African proverb. We've all kind of heard it or seen it probably a number of different times. Sometimes it gets attributed to the African proverb, sometimes it doesn't. But anyhow, it's if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Don't sell alone. Leverage your team. Leverage the team on the product side. Leverage the team on the engineering side. Leverage the team on the marketing and demand gen side of things. Leverage the success team. Get all of this information together and use it to put yourself in a better position to accelerate speed to impact for your customers, not just going fast in circles. So don't sell alone. And that means even inside your customers. So if you have one person that you're working with inside the customer and you don't have access to anybody else, you have an O-ring problem. And if you'd like to learn more about the O-ring problem, just send me a direct message and we can chat about it. But you have an O-ring problem if you're out there selling alone. Next one, stick to your script/templates. This is one of those things that drives me absolutely insane. The idea that we need to script out everything and have a specific template. Yes, have a process. Simplify that process by removing as many parts as you can. Once you find that you've simplified it too much, you may need to add another part back into it. But if you're taking an approach when you work with your customer that someone can pull the string back and just listen to this thing, the same thing that you hear that you tell every other customer or prospect, and you don't have context, then I think you're failing. I think you're doing things wrong. Now, I understand early in career, it helps to have some standards and scripts because they provide guideposts, but those should be similar to what I think comedians do. And my kids don't think I'm funny. My wife doesn't think I'm funny. Um, I think my jokes are pretty good. I think I just have an acquired sense of humor. But if you find those beats so that you're not scripting things. Now, at the same time, I'm learning as people help me get better with video that I actually do need to create some scripts. So don't stick to your script/template. Leverage a thinking process in the way that you engage with your customer base. And yep, that's the tagline inside my business. Stop trying to be the hero. Don't try to be the hero. You're not the hero in your customer story. Read Donald Miller's Building a Story Brand. Read the follow-up Marketing Made Simple with JJ and Donald. Read Business Made Simple. These are 3 amazing resources that are out there in the marketplace that highlight how you can leverage story to make an impact inside the organizations you work with. One of the key challenges that we run into, especially those who are super passionate about the problems we solve for, is we want to be the hero in the story. Stop. Be the guide. Let your solution be the plan that helps deliver success for your customers and help them avoid failure. The only way that you can do this is if you hit on those things that we've already talked to in this top 10 list. Now, I know I just said, don't stick to your scripts. At the same time, don't wing it. Have a process. Have a process and follow that process. If you're not following the process, something that's repeatable, how are you going to go back and evaluate what's working and what's not? You're not. You're going to struggle. You're going to have so much ambiguity in your data that you're going to confuse some things. So don't wing it. Have a process. At the same time, don't stick to those scripts and templates. Anyhow, wrapping things up. Number 9, stop taking a me first approach. Here's the reality. It's not about you. It's not about you. I don't know of any rep, any business owner who has ever made their number, has ever grown their business buying from themselves. If you make it about you, you're not going to give yourself an opportunity to embrace others and hear what people are struggling with and then be able to determine, can I actually help them? And if I can't help them directly, who do I know in my network that can? Who do I know inside my network that can? Stop taking a me first approach. Be a servant oriented leader. Coach people, guide people. It is not about you. The work that I do, it is never about me. It's about how can I help someone be the best version of themselves. It's not about you. So stop taking a me first approach. And the last one, the one that everybody loves, and my favorite version of this is the Saturday Night Live skit where Alec Baldwin is on there and the elves are around and um, Coco is for closers, always be cobbling, always be closing. Just stop with the always be closing. Now, when I say stop with the always be closing, let me clarify something. This is not about closing on clarity related to next steps. I do look at that as a close. If each close that you go through is should feel natural because it should be the next logical step. There should be general agreement that we're continuing to take steps and continuing to move forward. Don't When I say don't go into this always be closing, it's like that Glenn Ross thing where it's just hard sell, hard push, hard making it about me because I have a number that I need to do, creating this false sense of urgency for people because if they don't do it quickly, things are going to run out. So you create this level of scarcity. I understand when you read Cialdini's book, and I'm actually reading the updated, revised version of Cialdini's book. And Cialdini was a professor at ASU while I was at ASU, and he mentions one of my favorite professors at ASU, which was Gregory Neidert, is mentioned a couple of different times in the book. There are biases that people have that that will lead to certain influence techniques. Creating some kind of behavior change or creating some change. When you understand those, you have to um, be authentic with the people that you're working with, not doing it because of something you want to get done, but because of something that is important for them to get done. And this is why I don't look at sales as convincing people. And that's a word that drives me nuts. I look at it as compelling people to take action, helping identify the pain that is out there, the implication of not solving that pain, the positive benefit of being able to come up with a solution, and then being able to provide a guide to help them take action. So don't fall into the trap of always be closing. This was 14 minutes and 20 seconds of 10 things. 10 things you should not do if you want to be successful in business, life, and sales. Pitch without context. Number 1, assume. Number 2, overpower the conversation. Number 3, attempt to solve for everything. Number 4, sell alone. Number 5, stick to your script/templates. Number 6, try to be the hero. 7, wing it. Number 8, take a me first approach. Number 9, and number 10, always be closing. Now, how does this apply to business, life, and sales? You think about it. Whenever you take a me first approach with the way that you interact with people, is that a good way to manage a relationship if it's about you? We all work with people who will take that approach. If it's about you, do you feel good about the interactions you have with others? Or do you feel better when you're together with a community in this, you know, if you want to go far, go together. Um, when you're winging it in life, making it up as you go along, um, yeah, you might be successful, but actually, if you take some time and learn from some of the people who crossed that path in the past, you might actually find a guide who can help you move along in those things. I see that Tanner joined in. Process a clear way to use what is working, broken, or doesn't exist. No better way to improve than to develop a process or develop processes. I agree 100%, Tanner. You've been around for a lot of this journey and you've seen how those things come together. If you've got the process, then you now have something that you can evaluate or effectively assess yourself against. Sometimes your processes, as cool as they look, just don't work. It's okay. If they don't work, iterate, test, get out there, do some different things. Apply the scientific method to the approach that you're working on, and you'll figure it out. You'll have a hypothesis. You'll have some ideas on what you think will happen. And then when you test against those, if they don't, get out there and test again. Don't keep testing just for the sake of testing. I think about I think one of the best stories around this is the one about the drunk who's looking for his keys. I think it's a drunk. He's looking for his keys. And where's he looking for his keys? Around the light pole. Well, why is he looking for the keys around the light pole? Because that's where the light is. Doesn't mean that's where he dropped the keys. Wherever you dropped your keys. So get yourself into the process, evaluate the data, detach from the um, detach from the personal biases that you have associated with it, and continue to learn. Continue to learn. All right. I want to thank everybody for participating on this April Fool's Day. I hope you enjoyed this. If you put a comment in this video, I will send you a copy of a PDF that I have that has a couple of bullet points associated with each of these items. Love to hear your feedback. What did I miss? What would you add to the list? Add that information in here. If you are looking for someone to work with to help you or your team get better at customer acquisition in the context of pipeline development or creating growth within your customer base, give me a call. Look forward to working with you. Thank you very much.